Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, or Book 10, Chapter 5, Nandotsava. Sri Shuka said, "Meantime, the noble Nanda found with joy his wife had been delivered of a boy, whereat he was with jubilation filled, and summoned bards and priests in ritual skilled, to celebrate with song and Vedic rites on the occasion of festive delights. He had his cleansing bath duly performed, and was in raiment clad, with gems adorned, when the rites and invocations were sped, and the holy incantations were read, and for the welfare of his newborn son, gods and manes worshipped for benison. He gave to Brahmins, steadfast in their vows, 200,000 richly adorned cows. All full 100 pots gave in charity, and 7 great mountains of sesame, and gems and garments also he conveyed, and silken robes with rich golden brocade. Some things are cleansed by scrubbing, some by time, some things by washing off the dirt and grime. Some things are cleansed by gifts and charity, by sacrifice and strict austerity. Some things are by sacred rites are purified, and some things by remaining satisfied. But for the self, the pristine state is gained when knowledge of the self has been attained. The Brahmins recited, the Suttas sang, the benedictions of Magadhas outrang, the Vandins' auspicious blessings resound, the singers sang, the drums re-echo round. In Braja all was sprinkled clean and swept, where wondrous auspicious items were kept. In houses, yards, and over every gate were wreaths and flags the towers decorate. The cows, the bulls, the youngling calves were dight with scented oil mixed with turmeric bright. Coloured pigments, peacock plumes on the head, with cloth and gold and wreaths engarlanded. O King, the cowherds wore their best garments, with coats and turbans and fine ornaments, and most precious gifts in their hands they bear, and to the dwelling of Nanda repair. The cowherd dames, when they the news had heard, Yasoda gave birth to a son, were stirred, they decked themselves for the festivities with raiment, gem, and ointment for the eyes. The fresh vermilion on their faces glowed, which like the blooming lotus flower showed. Each one with rich gifts in hand thither hies, with oscillating breasts and bulky thighs. The cowherd damsels with gem earrings bright and necklaces were a wonderful sight, with lockets and with varied raiment dressed, their merry way along the path addressed. The flowers fall from their hair all the while as they proceed to Nanda's domicile. The motion of flower and ornament and milky vessel breast were radiant. Their benedictions to the babe they gave. May you have long life and your people save. They sprinkled oil and turmeric and raised their voices, and the birthless one they praised. In honor of the advent of the Lord, Krishna, the infinite, supreme, adored, in Nanda's festive cowherd settlement was heard the sound of song and instrument. The cowherds were to festivity stirred, each pelted each with fresh cream, milk, and curd. They smear each other with fresh butter too, and all around milk sprinkled and threw. Noble Nanda distributed largesse to all the cowherds, ornaments and dress, and vast abundance of cattle wealth stored, and gave suitors and Magadhas reward. And Vandins, reciters and minstrels there received reward according to their share. And thereby all were highly gratified, who on their trade for livelihood relied. He sought to propitiate Lord Vishnu, that all welfare to his son might ensue. And the highly fortunate Rohini was honoured by Nanda with dignity. She moved about, clad in raiment divine, and did with necklaces and jewels shine. In Nanda's house there was wealth and content. His gain in cowherding he did augment. But since Hari dwelt there and was displayed, O king, 'twas then the place where Rama played. Nanda to other cowherds did commit Gokula's safety, and went to remit the tribute that to Kamsa was now due of his profit and trading revenue. And to Mathura city took his way, O Kuru prince, the annual tithes to pay. Vasudev, hearing, rose up from his seat, and came his brother Nanda for to greet. And knowing that the tribute had been paid to the king, he went to where Nanda stayed. On seeing him, Nanda quickly arose, like body when the life air inly flows, so full of affection and tender care. He was delighted thus to see him there. And as with restless emotion he strove, embraced him with his arms, o'erwhelmed with love. Thus, having been honoured with welcome fare, was comfortably seated on a chair, but distracted after some pleasantries. Of his 2 sons he made inquiries. It is most fortunate, O brother dear, for one who has advanced many a year, and wanting offspring, after all this time, you have now got a son by grace divine. By seeing you I blessedness attain, although I live I feel new life again. For in the whirligig of existence, to meet a friend is a rare occurrence. To meet with those we love and wish to see is fraught with hardship and difficulty. For dear ones cannot stay together long, each driven by their pristine deeds along. E'en as a floating wood and debris are seen, swept diversely along the river's stream. In the vast forest where you now abide, are you with abundance of grass supplied? Is there good water and increase of tilth? And are the people and cattle in health? O brother, there you know I have a son. Does he fare well under your protection? His mother too. He looks on both of you as his own father and his mother true. A person who strives for the threefold gain, as Vedic texts enjoin and rules ordain, so long his kindred are happy and hale, 'tis well, elsewise it is of no avail. Nanda said, Ah me, all of the sons Devaki bare was slaughtered by Kamsa, who would not spare. And but one daughter did to you remain, but she straightway to heaven did attain. All beings have in destiny their source. Destiny is their stay and sole recourse. And whoso knows this destiny perceives that all is destiny and never grieves. Vasudev said, Well, now you have paid the tribute to the king, and we have had a timely fair meeting. It seems to me you should not tarry here. I see in Gokula portents of fear. Sri Shuka said, Nanda and his cowherds, this having heard, and at the speech of Soli, they were stirred. Taking his reed, they yoke the ox-drawn cart, and in all haste for Gokula depart. Thus ends Chapter 5 in Book 10 of the Srimad Bhagavat Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa. Chapter 6. Sri Shuka said, While on the road, Nanda, in reverie, thought Soli's speech could not untruthful be, and apprehensive of some dire event, sought refuge in Hari as on he went. Meantime, commissioned by Kamsa the king, came Putana, a vile and loathsome thing, who roamed cities, towns, pastures, to fulfill his order and the little babies kill. Now, where the glory of the Lord is heard, the Saviour God from all evil doth guard. Where people in right conduct are employed, all fiends, like Yatudanas, are destroyed. That sky ranger came flying through the air, and to Nanda's Gokula did repair, transfigured to a damsel by her skill in magic, and wandered around at will. Her hair was with malika blossoms dressed, her hips were broad and ample was her breast, and her midriff from both sides was oppressed. Well adorned in fine garments she appears, the pendants glisten dangling from her ears. She cast attractive glances here and there, the women captivated on her stare, and the cowherds gazing on her did ween that she must be Fortuna, beauty's queen, to see her lord come to the cowherd land, and twirling a toy lotus in her hand. While searching out her prey, the infanticide, after consideration, did decide to enter Nanda's house, wherein she viewed the mighty one with powers now subdued, the demon slayer by childhood concealed, lying abed like fire unrevealed. He knew her vile, murderous intention, the self of both the mobile creation and of the immobile. Thus he closed his eyes, and she to lift him onto her lap tries, as one in ignorance a rope may take for what is in reality a snake. She was like a sharp falchion kept beneath a beautifully decorated sheath, with excessive maternal affection, although she was as hard as any stone. And the two mothers gazed on in dismay, and thus deluded did not bar her way. The evil one, with venom on each pap, took up the child and placed him on her lap. Into his mouth her poisoned nipple pressed, and he with both his hands squeezed and compressed. The Almighty One gave her pain and strife, and indignant sucked with her milk her life. Afflicted with intolerable pain, she cried, Enough! Leave off! O'er and again, and writhing in her sweat with bulging eyes, her arms and legs stretched out in hideous wise, her horrid cry made earth and mountains quake, the heavens vault, the stars and planets shake. The nether regions re-echo the sound, in fear of lightning folk fall to the ground. The night rover was in this manner slain, the pressure on her breast caused her great pain. Her mouth gaped wide, her hair was dishevelled, her arms convulsively outstretched were held. Reverting to her fiendish form again, she fell outspread over the wood and plain, even as Vritra, when his rage was quelled, O king, by Indra's thunderbolt was felled. Thus, even as her massy form fell dead, her carcass over full 12 miles was spread, and trees were crushed and strewn, O mighty king. Her form colossal was astonishing. Her fangs were like sharp ploughs, and gaping wide. Her mouth was as a cave on mountain side. Her breasts were as the flattened stones and rocks, and scattered were her wiry copper locks. Her eye sockets as gloomy deep wells sank. Her bulky thighs were as the river's bank. Her arms and feet and legs stretched out along were as the causeways, firmly built and strong. On marking that gigantic carcass there, the cowherds and their wives were full of fear, since having heard her roaring were in shock, and shield their heads and ears the sound to block. They saw the infant playing on her breast, without the slightest fear, and toward him pressed. The cowherd dames then quickly to protect took up the child with filial respect. Both Yashoda and Rohini then led the other matrons, and rituals sped. The protective rites did with hymn and vow, which having done, waved the tail of a cow. They sprinkled him with urine of the kine, and smeared with the cow-raised dust in powder fine. Then they the mystic talisman impart, 12 names applied to each bodily part. At first they touch the water, and then sip, to purify the hand and cleanse the lip, and thus for their own purity provide. Then on the child the seed mantras applied. May the birthless great God protect your feet, your knees by the Lord with jewels replete. The Lord of sacrifice your thighs, and then Achyuta your waist, and your abdomen the horse-necked one. May he safety impart, and may Keshava e'er protect your heart. May Isha to your chest safety provide, Ina your neck, Vishnu your arms. Beside, may Urukrama to your mouth afford protection, and may Ishvara, the Lord, protect your head. May Chakri go before, may Sri Hari, and he who the mace bore, protect you from behind in every way, and demonic forces disperse and slay. May the bow wielder your protector be, known as the demon Madhu's enemy, and he who wields the sword safety provide, and may these both protect you on each side. From all the points may you be guarded well by he who bears the resounding conch shell. May he whose praises in high hymns resound protect you from above, and on the ground may Tarksha, king of birds, your saviour be from all the plough-bearing divinity. May Hrishikesh of your senses take care. May Narayana protect your life air. May the White Islands Lord protect your heart, and Yogesh to your mind safety impart. May Prishni Garba guard your intellect. May the Almighty One your soul protect. May Govinda protect you while at play, and Madhava while sleeping as you lay. While walking, may Vaikuntha guard your way. And while seated, may your protector be the worthy consort of the goddess Shri. May that Lord to whom sacrifice is made, by whom the evil planets are dismayed, whom we supplicate and in faith entreat, to guard you and protect you while you eat. Dakinis, Yatudanis, Kusmandas, who trouble children, Bhutas and Pretas, Pisachas, Yakshas, and the Rakshas height, Vinayakas, Kotara, full of spite, Revati, Jesta, Putana the vile, and Matrikas, who madden and beguile, and those who cause the memory to fade, and the body, breath, and senses invade, those that occasion dire calamity, and those that cause one evil dreams to see, those spirits that the young and old assail, whence dread and dire disturbances prevail, may all these be destroyed and flee in shame at the loud utterance of Vishnu's name. Sri Shuka said, thus bound by affection and tender care, Yashoda and the cowherd matrons there, having protective rites for her son sped, she suckled him and laid him on his bed. Meantime, the cowherd men by Nanda led from Mathura back to the Braja sped, and when they the colossal carcass saw of Putana, were struck with dread and awe. Certes, O friends, to me it is now clear that Anaka Dundubi is a seer, adept in mystic yoga, prescient, else how could he have foreseen this event? Her massive form the cowherds chopped in haste with axes, and then to a distance cast, and with heaps of dry wood they make a pyre, and thus reduced her to ashes by fire. And as the smoke rose up into the air, emitted of our Guru the scent rare, since Krishna had been suckled at her breast, her sins were all absolved, and she was blessed. Though Putana was of the demon brood, who slew children and drank their sanguine blood, to slay Hari she offered him her breast, and went to the place of supernal rest. What then of those who love and faith proffer, and dearest objects willingly offer, as fond mothers give to their dear darlings the most agreeable and pleasant things? Those feet in the devotee's heart remain, the world protectors praise their worthy fame. Although she was a Yatudani dread, was touched by the illustrious Godhead. Although she gave her breast, she sought to slay, yet to the high heaven she made her way. What then of pious matrons may be said, who from their bosoms milk to Krishna fed? And what of the cows might be said beside, who rich and abundant fresh milk supplied? The cowherd dames, with maternal affection, suckled the supreme illustrious one. Their great reward cannot imagined be from the almighty son of Devaki, who is the one from whom all blessings flow, who does final liberation bestow. With fond maternal affection beguiled, they knew him only as their darling child, and thus, O king, they are not born again, nor in the metempsychosis remain. When the cowherds the fragrance apprehend, rising from the fire, they commend, from whence is this lovely fragrance derived? Thus questioning, at that place they arrived. To them the others did reiterate of Putana's arrival and her fate, and of the auspicious ending they heard. Then blessed the child, by astonishment stirred. Then noble Nanda was immensely pleased to see his son, as if from death released, and took him on his lap in joy's relief, and smelt his head, O mighty Kuru chief. Whoever, faithful, hears, studies, or reads the tale of Krishna's wondrous childhood deeds, how Putana did salvation attain, the purest love for Govinda will gain. Thus ends chapter 6 in Canto 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavat Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa.